Probably not. Hi guys, can you hear me? So I think I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes and I'm just going to start after that. One of the first things I'd like to tell all of you is that I am not going to be able to answer any specific queries around a particular section in CAT, or even around how you should solve a particular question, because honestly this particular webinar is not about the specifics of solving anything in the CAT exam. It's more about a approach that you should take and a mindset that you should take when you go for the CAT exam. I'd like to start, and I think we have about 30, 40 odd people now, and maybe it's a good time to at least set the ball rolling. So first of all, why am I qualified to talk about this in any way? So for all those who don't know, I am the founder and the creator of InsideIIM.com and the Campus Conversations app. If you are, hopefully a lot of you will eventually end up joining B School. So you will know about our Campus Conversations app, which will eventually help you get into dream companies. But at this point of time, we are still at the CAT stage. So let's talk about CAT. And so I am an IIM alumnus myself. I have taken the CAT in 2008, which is exactly 10 years back. I was actually the person who wrote the last paper pencil CAT. While I think the strategy to take the exam might change or might have changed over a period of time depending on the new pattern. Like for example, now you cannot switch sections, or that the time limit that you have for the exam has changed completely, or that now there are questions that you need to answer which have no options. So of course the format of the exam has taken a lot of, there's been transformation in that. And hence I don't think I'm qualified to talk a lot about individual sections and topics, etc. But I think the overall attitude with which you go about taking the CAT exam still remains the same. And I think your attitude and your mental makeup will be a big reason which will help you maybe actually crack the CAT. Now, again, to complete my piece around why am I qualified to talk about this particular piece. So I also took CAT multiple times. So, all those people who are taking CAT again, of course, you would know of many people who've taken CAT multiple times and eventually made it. So when I was in the final year of my commerce college, I took the CAT for the first time without any preparation. I thought I was really smart and I was going to be able to do really well. So I took the exam. I scored a 92 percentile without properly preparing for it or giving it the kind of time that it required. And obviously it bombed. And I got a 92 percentile then. The year later is when I actually really worked hard. So I think CAT 2007 was when I should have actually cracked the CAT, because I think there wasn't much left in terms of the preparation that I needed to do. But I still could not make it. I think I scored about 97 point something in that particular year. Scored about 90 percentile in all three sections. Also, please remember that I'm talking about a time when for you to get a call from any of the 6 IIMs, not only did you require probably at least 99 percentile overall, but you also needed at least 90 percentile plus in all three sections. And I think if you wanted a call from Ahmedabad or Calcutta, you needed 95.33 or 95 at least in all three sections. at that point of time. So hence it was important to be extremely focused on getting a very high sectional score as well. So I did not make it for whatever reason in 2007 as well. And it was 2008 finally when I think I got a lot of my mental space, better. Because I think the only difference between those 2 years, CAT 2007 and CAT 2008, was primarily the fact that I stopped giving CAT too much importance. Uh, I made sure that I told myself that this exam is not going to define the rest of my life. In a very funny way, it has happened when I run InsideIIM.com. So it's ironic how things eventually turn out. But at least at that point of time, I was very clear that I'm going to be very focused on just doing well in the exam and not worrying about how it's going to impact my life. Because the moment you start giving it too much importance, I think it has an impact on your performance. So what I'm going to do is talk about how I look at entrance exams overall, and probably a suggested approach for a lot of you. At no point of time am I saying that you need to be casual about CAT. I don't think that is the point of this particular webinar at all. The idea is to put things in perspective. Uh, you know, maybe calm yourselves down, and maybe I can also take a few questions at the end of it so that you are. If there is any way in which I can help you, I will try and do that. And the fact that I've been observing this space now for quite some time through my own platform, I mean, there are enough stories of all kinds. So it might be good to talk about a few of them, right? Okay. So, guys, I will take questions for sure, but let's at this point of time, first, let me just show you some of the things. The way so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Let's see. So I hope that you guys can see this thing. So the way I look at things, I look at entrance exams as beautiful games, and I think it's important for you to enjoy the process when you are playing this particular game. In 2007, when I was taking the CAT, I was slightly overawed by the prospect of taking the exam. I knew I was prepared, but what if I fail? And what if the test is of a particular kind? I am weak in this particular section. What if that ends up becoming very difficult? I am not so great at this particular piece. Will it affect me? What are the topics that are going to ask? So there are all kinds of doubts and fears and insecurities that start coming in because you just made it like something which is so huge, something that is so big in your head that it will eventually affect your performance. Your energy start get directed towards things which are not important. Like at this point of time, thinking about the future is pointless. In a lot of philosophies, whether it is the Buddhist philosophy or Jain philosophy or even Hindu philosophy, you will read even the Chinese and the Japanese talk about this. They all speak about in indirect ways talking about being in the present. And I think you can only be in the present when you are fully involved in what you're doing. And when you're fully involved, you are generally enjoying the process. You look at something as a puzzle. If I look at, the CAT exam as, okay, it's like a 3-4 hour, game that I'm going to go and play. And I'm going to try and do my best in that. If you treat it in that particular fashion, I think you will realize that, you are taking a lot of pressure off yourself and you are able to do a far better job than you had previously imagined. It was definitely something that helped me. I think if I go back again and revisit, I think that was one of the important things that I did, which was to stop giving it too much respect. And I think this is an important piece to start off with. Enjoy it. Look at it as an opportunity that you have, which you will probably not get too many times in your life. You will not continue to keep taking cat year after year. Now that you're doing it, enjoy it and have a positive energy around it rather than worrying about the future and thinking about yourself as a failure, or just shun all negative thoughts. Be positive. Look at only the next 3 or 4 days. Enjoy what you're going to do over the next 3 or 4 days, right? Yeah. So that was just one of the things. Sorry for that break in the thing, but anyway. Um, okay. So, guys, just a moment. Let me just share my screen again. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is, what is your approach to this particular game? And if you look at this particular piece, I like to break it up into, 4 parts here. There is obviously preparation. The second part is, knowing yourself. The third part is expressing yourself, and the last piece is around the game is a means to an end. So just chill, and I'm going to delve deeper into all the 4 things that I'm talking about here, starting with preparation, preparation, preparation. So a lot of people feel that when I'm doing a webinar of this kind, I am in no way asking you to take this particular piece casually. Also, the point of this webinar is to not give you any kind of false hope. Uh, there is no substitute for hard work. There is absolutely no way in which you are going to be able to do a good job if you haven't prepared. Have you done your concepts well? Have you put in hours and hours of practice earlier? Have you taken mocks? Have you analyzed them well? Unless you've done that, there is absolutely no way that you are going to be able to crack it, because there is, of course, a small percentage of people in the world who are so gifted and who are so talented and who are so good that they are going to be able to do a fantastic job despite the fact that they are less prepared as compared to others. Now, uh, you know, in some of my earlier attempts, I also thought that I am like a unique person. All of us feel that we are unique, and the fact that we will be able to do what other people are not able to do. So, अगर कोई और X amount of preparation में करके देगा, I might be able to do it in X minus Y, whatever, right? And that particular thing is just your ego talking at that point of time, and it's a false sense of bravado. So my objective here is to not give you any false sense of hope. Of course, anything which is important requires preparation, and I think If you have not done that, it will probably come across somewhere in the exam. If you still make it despite less amount of preparation, great, you are amongst those few people in the world who are able to do it. And I mean, I wouldn't, as a student, want to count myself and leave it up to that chance where I feel that maybe I am good and maybe I need to prepare less. I think if 100 is required, then I will put in the 100 required for the preparation. And hence, that is definitely, there is no argument against that particular piece. So preparation is important. Now the question is, after you've done the preparation and after you've gone through all the various mocks, and you revised concepts, you spoken to all your faculty at the various coaching classes about all the kinds of things you are using inside IIM, and you are reading all kinds of motivational stories of people who crack the CAT, and they've given you 30-day plans and 60-day plans and 90-day plans. They are giving you lots of information around all tricks and tips to do. There are people who go on Facebook groups, they do all kinds of work. So ये सब करने के बाद, often what happens is that people end up becoming more complicated. Like you end up over analyzing, and you end up starting to doubt yourself. You feel that ये भी कर लेते हैं, वो भी कर लेते हैं, ये strategy भी सही है, वो strategy भी सही है. And I think that's where the second piece that I was talking about, which is knowing yourself, comes in. You will be strong at certain things. So again, if I were to go back and look at my example, at some point of time during my preparation, I realized that, look, what I'm really good at is VARC. And if I have to make it to the top IIMs, the one thing that I'm definitely going to be able to do is do very well at VARC. That is something that I'm going to be untouchable at. I'm going to make sure that I score as high a percentile as I can in that one particular section. I think broadly in the CAT exam, knowing your strengths is probably one of the most important things that will eventually see you through. So, I mean, if you look at any kind of sport, right? If you look at any kind of even actors, people who perform in any kind of situation, you'll always see that they are good at certain things. They're also good at a lot of other things, but there are certain things that they are just extremely good at. So, for example, I always like to give this example of someone like Virender Sehwag, and all of you who've seen him bat, at least, I mean, pardon me if you are not a cricket follower, but just stay with me for some time. You cannot get a Virender Sehwag to bat like Rahul Dravid, right? And hence, I think it's important that you know your strengths and base your entire CAT taking strategy on that particular strength. Also, your preparation around it. And this is something at least I learned. I mean, there was a time when I wanted to be good at everything. I said like, no, I'm going to score a 99 percentile in Quant also, and I'm going to score a 99 percentile in DILR, and I'll score a 99 percentile in verbal. In theory, I mean, it's possible, of course, but at some point of time in your preparation, you realize that, look, you know what, this isn't something that, like, for example, I wasn't the best at Quant. I was reasonably good at it, but I was not the best at Quant. I think it would have taken me a lot more time to do very, very well at Quant. And even then, if I would have practiced really hard, I don't think that, and I think the difficulty of the questions that we had back then, I don't think it would have been possible for me to score a 99 percentile, mock after mock after mock, because that's not something that I get naturally. And I think it's important to accept that about you, that, okay, that's not something that comes to me naturally. However, I can do very well at what I'm really good at. And then this is something that I will also do well at, to make sure that I'm clearing cutoffs, so that I'm making sure that I'm going to give myself a good chance to get into the IIMs. Today, if you look at the selection criteria of the various IIMs, you honestly require in most places about 85 to 90 percentile in your sections. If you are in the general category, if you are in the OBC category or the other categories, you will see those sectional percentiles also dropping. I think that is something that you should play to your advantage, and be less stressed about the fact that, okay, look, you know what, you can actually, you do not need to worry so much about things that you are not so good at this point of time. Honestly, 3 days before the CAT exam, all I would be worried about is, am I ensuring that I'm maintaining my strength areas? So even if I'm putting in new amount of planning or effort that I'm doing around learning something, I just want to ensure that my overall percentile is high. The other thing is, if you look at even selection criteria of various institutes, if you just look at that, you'll again notice that most of them have an overall cutoff. Sectional cutoffs are typically lower. Now you might end up working hard to try and balance, your skills across 3 sections, and then eventually, find yourself having a good sectional cutoff, a good sectional score, and having a not so high overall score. So my mission at this point of time is to get a high overall score, not necessarily that I get a high sectional score. And the only way you can get a really high sectional score is to ensure that you are doing very, very, a very high overall score is by ensuring that you are doing very well at your strength areas. So, I would genuinely recommend that you keep that in mind and, work hard towards doing that. There are things that come, see, that the other thing also is that when you're good at something, and it automatically gives you confidence, right? If I tell you that stop worrying about what you are not so good at, worry about what you're really good at, it psychologically also makes a difference when you are attempting the paper, because automatically you will see that you are far more energetic, you're more spirited, you are more hopeful about yourself, because हाँ ये तो मैं कर सकता हूँ अच्छी तरह से. If this is something I can do well, I know this, I can do it. I think it just changes the way you attempt everything. With respect to your other sections that you are not so strong at, honestly, it's not something that you have to do again and again all your life. It's something that you have to do for one particular day. There is no reason to be stressed about it. You do your best. You be extremely calculated about it. Treat it in a ruthless, dispassionate manner. Don't get attached to questions. Don't get attached to a section. Ultimately, if you are getting admission in the B school that you are taking CAT for, beyond the point, no one is going to come and ask you कि यार वो section के अंदर how much did you score? And अगर पूछ भी लिया तो so what? The world is full of people with different kind of skills. You are good at certain things, you're not good at certain things, but your final goal is to get into, say, an IIM Ahmedabad or an IIM Lucknow or wherever, right? And if you've gotten there, whatever route you've taken, it doesn't really matter. So know yourself and be very, very focused on what you are good at. I also feel that the CAT exam is a great expression of one's personality, and I feel on the day of the CAT exam, you probably need a hint of arrogance, where you go knowing that what, I am going to do well. You need to go with that swagger. It's like if you look at how an MS Dhoni goes out to bat a lot of times, like he has a certain kind of swagger. There is a certain amount of calmness. At least the old Dhoni. A lot of people might not like the way Dhoni has been batting recently, but if you look at Dhoni when he used to be, when he won the 2 World Cups for us, and if you look at an entire period in the how he used to bat and how he used to conduct himself, there's a certain amount of swagger. At no point of time did you feel that he was nervous. Even if he was nervous, at least his approach was extremely positive, extremely aggressive, right? And I think that's what you need to bring to your particular test taking as well. That look, this is my chance to express myself as a person, and I'm going to do it through a CAT exam. And well, you know what? I'm going to try and do my best. I'm not going to worry about the result at that point of time. I'm just going to do the best that I can. I'm going to use all kinds of tricks and tips that occur to me in those particular hours, and I'm going to try and solve this particular puzzle in the best way that I can. At the same time, not being attached to it. I think that's the most. You have to, a lot of people around this time say that, how badly do you want it, and what is your passion for this, etc. I think it's a slightly overblown. I mean, it's good to have energy around this, good to focus on it, good to give it time, good to make a lot of hard work around this. But I think when a particular exam starts consuming your mindset at all points of time, you can only go down from there. You can't be obsessed with it, and which is why because it will hamper the best that you can present on the exam day. It's like, a lot of people have stage fright and they freeze, or there are, for example, if you know, in sport especially, you see that there are young people who do extremely well at the lower levels. For example, if you're playing football, you're playing very well for a big club in the under 21s, under 23s, but the moment you are put in the actual league, they suddenly freeze and are not able to do well. Or that happens even in the Ranji Trophy. Like, there are so many batsmen who score tons and tons of runs in Ranji Trophy. Your Ranji Trophy is essentially the mock exams that you take. And then finally, when they're put onto the main stage, they, just collapse. They're not able to do well. And I think a lot of it is just a psychological thing, because they take that particular thing so seriously. They're so worried about not failing that they eventually end up failing. And also because they are obsessed by it. So my suggestion at this point of time is, it's just a bloody exam. And you need to go there and arrogantly do well at it. It doesn't matter what happens at the end of it. But at this point of time, you need to have a certain amount of distance with it. Don't give it too much respect. It's not the be-all and end-all of your life. The perspective I want to give you here is, again, this is one event for 3 or 4 hours in your life. It does not define you in any way. It's a really, really, really small part of your life. If you do well, yes, there will be advantages and you will do great things in life. But if you don't do well, also you will do great things in life. It's not something that you submit, your heart and soul to in a way where it destroys you. Especially, when you are writing the exam 3 days later, thinking about it constantly or worrying about it constantly. I just think it just like, if you, like, for example, when I talk about this in person, I often give, if you look at the image of the universe, and if you try and find out where you are on, like, you are like this small tiny speck in the universe, and I mean, honestly, anything that you do here beyond the point does not matter. It's not a fatalistic, cynical point of view. It is just simply the fact that there is so much in the world and there's so much to do in the world that, like, the CAT, I mean, just think about it logically also. The total number of people who take the CAT exam is roughly 2 lakh people, and that number has not changed in many, many years. There are 1.3 billion people in this country. There are more number of people who do not even know about CAT than the number of people who even take it. So, जो लोगों ने CAT crack भी कर लिया, वो लोगों ने कुछ खास उखाड़ा नहीं. Like, for example, I think there are so many circumstances have come together for me to have been able to crack CAT 2008. I got 99.76 or something of that sort at that point of time. I'm saying it's. I mean, I was an English-speaking school I went to, hence I think I got a lot of advantage to be able to take the CAT. I think about 98% of India's population, we don't even give a chance to take the CAT properly just by virtue of the fact that they don't know the language. So, is it really an exam that matters so much? I don't really think so. Will it do a good job for you? Yes, it will. I mean, it's one of the things that you try in your life to get ahead in life, to do better, to earn yourself a good sum of money, to get some kind of meaningful work to do later on. And that's a debatable thing. Who knows what's going to happen eventually? Even when you get admission in the school that you go to, there are people who end up getting destroyed even after they get into a B school. So I mean, the road ahead for you is really long. There is lots and lots of interesting things that you're going to do all your life. This is just one small part. Giving it too much importance and taking it too seriously is unhealthy. And I can also assure you that there will be disappointment if you don't do well, but that disappointment is not something that is going to last for the rest of your life either. So at this point of time, I'm saying that things are not going to be too bad if you don't do well in the exams. So आप अभी से ही relax हो जाओ इसके बारे में. Just be completely chill about it. The CAT exam is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. It's a road that you take to get somewhere. अगर आप कहीं पे realize करते हो कि there is a hurdle in this road, कि अब ये road बंद हो गया है मेरे लिए, that doesn't mean कि आप दूसरे रास्ते नहीं try कर सकते, right? And hence, relax. It's like, I mean, if, for example, if you're doing and making any kind of a journey, just because something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that you just suddenly freeze and say that, look, my life has ended now that this particular thing I'm not able to do. You will figure out alternate ways to do well. I think what happens is that people end up becoming too egoistic about this. Like cracking the CAT becomes like an ego thing. What will I tell my relatives? What will I tell my friends? Oh, look, there are people in my class who are doing better at CAT than I am. Oh, look, he got admission there. I think these are all negative thoughts which weigh you down. Their journey is different from your journey. What you are going to achieve in your life is going to be unique for you. It may or may not be through CAT. If CAT happens, then great. If it doesn't happen, then also it is great. And I think unless you understand this, it will be difficult for you to relax. Again, I'm not saying that you don't need to be preparing for the rest of the days, or that you are not conscious of what you need to do. You will have butterflies in your stomach. You will be nervous. There is a difference between being nervous and being anxious, right? And some of these negative thoughts end up making you feel anxious, and that anxiety ends up taking a big toll on your performance on the day. Like everything that I'm saying to you right now, eventually the goal is so that you are able to do well on that day. और एक चीज समझना कि the way the entire CAT thing is structured, it's eventually a relative thing that, I mean, some people will not make it. It's just the design of the exam. Does that mean that those people are useless? No, absolutely not. They are just talented in a different way, or that this particular day they weren't able to do as well as someone else. I just think that it's not a statement on your life. It's not a statement on how good or bad you are. And I think that's something that we should keep in mind. The other thing I also feel is that there are people from different backgrounds who are attempting this particular exam, and they are all going to come with different sorts of preparation. I think the fact that you are even attending this webinar kind of puts you in a slightly better place as compared to many others, because the fact that you are, I mean, we've been doing these set of webinars over the last few days, and there are some people who've been attending them regularly every single day. The fact that you're already so conscious of the fact that you need to do all these things so that you do well is enough reason for you to feel confident. It's not a reason for you to put more stress on yourself. The fact that, okay, I am doing my preparation. Okay, I am listening to different kinds of views, and I am figuring out how I need to go about doing things. So that should make you more confident कि हाँ मेरी तैयारी तो पूरी है, मैंने तो जो कुछ भी करना था वो मैंने किया है. So in that sense I feel you need to chill, relax a little. I recommend a few movies that you should watch before the exam. So in fact let me show you which are, I mean I think I put in I have a list of those movies which are ready. Let me give them to you. Just bear with me for a second, guys. I'm just going to open that particular slide. Um, eh, so I have this list of 7 movies which I highly recommend. It's a mixture of movies that will inspire you and movies that will also make things light for you, so that you are not obsessed with anything. There is one more movie, Laksh, that I might want to add to this particular piece, but Men of Honor, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. I know a lot of you are now who are taking CAT weren't even born when either of these 2 movies were released. In fact, even Andaz Apna Apna, I think it's a cult classic favorite movie. I'd highly recommend that you watch that just to switch yourself off and be more relaxed about life. Munna Bhai MBBS, I think, is one of the greatest movies ever made in India. Again, gives you a very very good example of how life can be. Rocket Singh is one of my favorite movies of all time. The World's Fastest Indian is another really really inspiring light movie that you will enjoy. Bhag Milka Bhag is slightly, intense, and that's something that you might want to choose depending on how those movies have, what kind of an effect that kind of a movie has on you. But largely, I would say that like really spend time watching movies. You've done all the preparation that you could. There is nothing new that you can do except for giving yourself the comfort that okay, I have been preparing. There is nothing new that you will do now in the next 2 days from a preparation standpoint, which is going to suddenly increase your score. Mental adjustments, I think, might make a very very huge difference in you doing well as compared to. Okay. Now, the other piece that I also want to talk about at this point of time is the in terms of there are routines that people follow. Like for example, one of the things that I like to do around this is try and take the mock tests before the CAT, probably exactly at the same time that the test is going to be, especially if you are in an afternoon slot or something where there is a you just want your body to be completely acclimatized to that particular piece. And it's, I think, an interesting, important part of preparation. A lot of the stuff that you do to make yourself feel comfortable. So I would recommend that you do that. I don't know if any of you guys are into any kind of breathing exercises, meditation, etc. Meditation might be too heavy for a lot of you, but at least if you are able to control your breath well, you will feel that your thoughts are also more controlled. You will be able to think better. You will be more positive. So I recommend that you wake up slightly early, go out in the sun. It might be just a 20-minute thing that you do in the morning over the next couple of days, but you should do that. Again, this is not a rule. I'm just sharing my particular experience with you. Every person does things differently. Like I know somebody who had partied all night on Saturday before the CAT exam and was able to crack the CAT as well. So there are all kinds of people in the world. So it's not a rule. But I think that at least all the people that I know who practice these kinds of things, they seem to have seen some kind of positive thing happening in your life, people who are, who do some kind of breathing exercises, or who do some kind of small exercise in the morning. They're out in the sun, come back. So think about it. I'm not like imposing myself in any way here. I'm just giving you suggestions from my side around this. Okay. Now, let me just look at some of the questions that are there here. Rishikesh says that I have learned arithmetic and algebra, but not able to score in mock. I think you should just stop worrying about it, Rishikesh, because it's not like you're going to suddenly, if there are certain issues with your understanding of the concepts, you can't solve them now. If you understood those concepts properly and still not able to do well, then I think it's really an attitude or a issue around your approach. And I think at this point of time, all you can do is stop worrying about it completely. Then Aftab says, after giving DILR, I screwed up and I won't be able to solve quant properly. So I think that's an important thing. Keeping your calmness when the exam is on. The fact that one particular section has gone badly does not mean that you screw up your entire exam. See, think about this in one particular section will not necessarily define your entire paper, because if you do very well in two sections and do badly in one section, you still have hope. When you're writing the exam, at that point of time, you need to give yourself the best chance. Whether you're going to score 99 or you're going to score 95 or you're going to score 89 is not something that you know at that point of time necessarily. And hence, for example, if you felt that DI and LR was bad for you, it's possible that all the other people who are writing the exam are also finding it difficult. So why are you screwing up your next section, assuming that you perform badly and everybody else has not? I think it's just something that you should really keep in mind. For example, the first CAT exam that I took, CAT 2006, in that year, the verbal exam, and that paper is available, you can go and have a look at it. The verbal was so complex. I think there were a lot of people who did the same thing as Mr. Aftab did here, which is that they, they looked at the verbal section, they did so badly at it, they felt, oh, you know what, I'm doomed, I'm not going to do well. Lost their cool in the exam and then eventually ended up screwing the whole paper. When the actual cutoffs came, people realized that the verbal cutoff was so abysmally low because it is something that everybody had done badly at. So I think this is absolutely important, maintaining your, calmness at that particular point of time. Shavik is asking me, please tell me book for practice. I think maybe you are a CAT 2019 aspirant. This webinar is clearly the wrong place to ask things like these. You go on InsideIIM.com. There are hundreds of articles talking about all kinds of things that you can use, to practice. Rishabh says, I've never really paid specific attention to what my strength is, but I've practiced hard. I was going into the exam with not much of a fixed strategy. So Rishabh, again, look what works for you. If you think that you do not have any particular area which is your strong area, then, well, that's the strategy that works for you. All I wanted to communicate with the entire piece around the strength area was that I have seen over the years people who neglect the things that they do well at because they worry about the things that they are not so good at. And hence, I mentioned, and I spent so much time talking about that. If what you're doing currently is working for you, please do not change it. If it's working well, go ahead and definitely do it. If your strategy is to be flexible and not worry about anything, well, so be it, and go ahead. Darpan is asking me, can you provide me tip for quants? I don't know what you really mean. All I can say is that, choose questions wisely. That is, I think, one of the things that I would recommend you to do, which is don't spend time on questions that are tough, which you are not going to be able to solve. There are always some questions which are extremely easy. In all the 15-20 years of CAT papers that I've seen, other people, and I've spoken to a lot of people around this, I don't think that there is, all questions do not require equal amount of time. Some of them are definitely damn easy and some are tough. So I think choosing of questions is important, and don't, worry about it. Again, Rishabh, like I said, you don't need to worry about how to find your strength. I think if what your current strategy is working well, just go ahead and do that. If you do want to find your strength, I'm sure if you pay enough attention to your scores over the last 4-5 months, you will know what is it that you really do well. Yes, Umang, it's really just a bloody exam. It's one day, few hours of your life. It does not define your life. I mean it. You will be surprised, how pointless it will become after a few years. It's not pointless for me because I'm running inside IIM.com. But honestly, for most of my batchmates, I don't think they even remember what they did during their CAT exam. वल्लभ says that 6 महीने से पढ़ रहे हैं तो डिसअपॉइंटमेंट तो होगा. यस वल्लभ, डिसअपॉइंटमेंट होगा, डिसअपॉइंटमेंट होना भी चाहिए. मैं सिर्फ ये बोल रहा हूं कि अभी से उसके बारे में तुम डिसअपॉइंटमेंट के बारे में थर्सडे को सोचोगे, देन it will be a problem, right? It will start affecting you negatively at this point of time. Right now, all you need to do is fill yourself with positive energy. Why you are going to not be disappointed? Why you are going to be happy? Why you are going to feel elated when the exam ends? That's what you need to think about at this point of time. So disappointment के against नहीं हूँ मैं. All I'm saying is at this point of time, take that negativity out of your mind. Otherwise, you will definitely be affected. Like बहुत इतना डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. Is all I'm trying to say. Just forget about it. Yeah, so the notes I have referred to, I don't mind sharing the link of the presentation that I was about to present here. Because of certain things I could only present a few slides here, but I will share that particular link if anybody is really interested in going through the entire thing. Sir, I'm scoring less than 80 marks in mock cats. I'm really afraid what to do. Nimi Ranjan, honestly, all I can say is fearlessly just go and attempt and do the best that you can. Mock cats is not the actual cat. You cannot do anything about what has happened in the past. You can only look at the future. And the future is that the actual cat exam is still in your hands. And if it is still in your hands, then you can just do the best that you can. So abhi jo bhi aapka preparation schedule hai, just keep following that and go on the day and fearlessly go and attempt, do as best as you can. Results, we will look at it later on. There will be hundreds of webinars that we will do here, about how to manage after the CAT exam is over as well. But at this point of time, just be positive. Don't think about the marks. Just do as best as you can. Lakshya, I have already spoken about the fact that abhi worry करके तो आपको कुछ भी नहीं मिलने वाला है. It is something that you will just bog yourself down with. So my suggestion is that be happy, watch movies, keep continuing your daily routine, and like Dhoni. Remember MS Dhoni when you are going for the exam. Look at how MS Dhoni used to go out to bat, at least in that period, and try and replicate that when you go for your CAT exam or any other sport. You find people who you find do well. Swastik has already watched Bhag Milka Bhag. Great. बाकी के 3-4 मूवीज जो मैंने सजेस्ट किए हैं उसमें से भी कुछ देख लो. Maybe it will help you relax even better, and hopefully you will do well. How are mocks different from actual CAT? I think generally what I've seen is that most people do end up doing better at the actual CAT than mocks, and there is a simple reason that the total number of people who are taking the CAT is far higher overall as compared to the number of people who take mocks, because you will take mocks of certain institutions which will have a smaller sample of 20,000, 30,000 people, sometimes lower than that. So obviously, the number of serious people that you are competing with there is far higher. When you have a higher number of people taking CAT, automatically there will be a lot of people who will be just freeloaders, who will just try. For them, CAT becomes like some kind of a small gamble that they do, or they come to take the exam because they have paid the fees, right? So I mean, you will probably end up doing better at the actual CAT than the mocks, and it's a very statistical reason for it. So any particular suggestion for how to attempt the VARC section? I honestly, again, the approach differs from people to people. I'm not even a test prep expert to honestly be able to tell you anything. But I generally think that, whatever has worked for you in the previous mocks, just keep following that. There is no particular suggestion that I have. If you are really, really good at VA and RC like I was, my approach was always to try and attempt as many questions as possible, if not all. But that may not necessarily be applicable for you, because you are a different person, your strengths are different, your approach needs to be different. So keep that in mind. Hands shake a lot and my throat goes. I have scored pretty high in my best mock, but it just comes in be positive. My bad marks haunt me. So, well, Rishabh, you know, at this point of time, you can only think about just think about all the things that have worked well for you in life. They start from the fact that maybe you were born in a good family, you are privileged enough to get good education, or that life has been good to you. And the fact is that अगर अभी तक जिंदगी इतनी अच्छी रही है, शायद आगे भी जिंदगी इतनी अच्छी रहेगी. Think about all the good things that have happened to you. If you go, मतलब अगर आप नेगेटिविटी को ढूंढने जाओगे by going and saying that no, I'm going to focus on my bad mocks, so obviously you're going to, shake your hands and have your throat going dry, right? Like why are you purposely trying to, figure that particular thing and keep thinking about it? I'm sure that if you make a list of, just make a list of 10 things that you are, you feel blessed about. Okay, just make a list of 10 things that you are blessed about. Just make a list of things that you've done really, really well at in life. And just keep reading those for the next 3 days. I'm pretty sure that, you will find a lot of solace and realize that, life is not that bad and that you're going to do well. You've done well previously in your life and you will do well again in your life. There is a question around, is it predictable, the pattern or type of question? Okay. Look, Ankit, I honestly don't even think that you should speculate about the pattern of the questions, whether it's going to be similar to 2017, 2018, what engineers are going to do, what non-engineers are going to do. Just forget about all of this at this point of time. Just forget about it. You just keep preparing as you would normally do every single day for the next 2 days. Relax yourself and, make sure that you have the entire energy to do well in the exam. These are questions which nobody has an answer to. Even if I give you an answer today, and if things don't end up being that way, what are you going to do? So just don't think about these things. It's just you're wasting your energy, brain cells on things which don't matter. How much I could get in CAT if I'm getting 75% in mock? So like I said, Bhushan, typically people end up doing better than their mock scores, but I am not a astrologer here. I don't even know you. You don't know how the CAT exam is going to be, how you're going to eventually end up doing on that particular day. Forget about the past, focus on the future and the present, be in the present. Make sure that you are just well prepared for the exam and that you do the best that you can. Forget about how much you're going to score. I think just take all the calculation around how much you are going to score completely out of your mind at this point of time, especially the percentile score. You can start thinking about it after the exam is done. Just make sure you do well. Shreyans, I have no expectation of CAT 2018. I think that you should also not have any expectation of CAT 2018. All that you should do is make sure that you are well prepared to take on the exam. And for that, whatever it takes, whether it is watching movies, whether it is relaxing, whether it is exercising, whether it is just revising your concepts, whatever you think that needs to be done, you should do. Forget about don't have any expectations from yourselves either. It will be a exam, a game, a puzzle that will be put in front of you, and your job is to do the best that you can in that particular time. Again, Panini, how much should I expect with 880 to 800 in AIMCAT, 100 in CL? I honestly have no answer for it. Like I said, you'll probably do better than what you were doing in those mocks. But look, it's a moot question. I've already answered it previously. It's energy that is going to be wasted on things that don't really matter. Hi, sir. 1.5 day before Sunday. What would you suggest to do in this time? And my exam is in slot 2. What should be the exam day plan? So I've spoken about it already earlier. I think that you should probably study during the hours in which you have the exam, so that you are in that zone during those particular hours. That's my particular strategy, because then my body gets used to concentrating in those hours. And I think that's an important thing that you should probably look at. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But this is just one suggestion from my side. Apart from that, just I think relax yourself. Don't spend too much time on social media. Don't spend too much time messaging people. Don't spend too much time talking to people on the phone. Watch a few movies, and very, very specifically movies that are going to leave you with a positive feeling at the end of it. And keep doing your daily revision. Exercise a little, and chill. You know, yeah. Just be thankful about everything that you got in your life. How can I relate mock percentile, actual percentile? I already answered this particular question. Slot 1, any suggestion? There is no separate suggestion for different slots. But like I said, typically it helps if your study period for the next couple of days is similar to the time in which your actual exam is. My current average is 92%, my marks are average 30. Can like any general 5% score? So Vedant Singh Pardeshi, again, I hope that you do better than your mocks, but that's all that I can talk about at this point of time. Akshat Jain, I am too frustrated now. Always disappointment in VA and RC. Well, frustration is not going to get you anywhere. What you can do at this point of time is do the best that you can without having any kind of emotion for any particular section. VARC is not something you have to keep doing for the rest of your life. Content DI is not something you have to do for the rest of your life, but it is a puzzle that you need to solve so that you can go to the next stage of your career. And just keep it that way. You are neither in love with the section, you are neither hating the section. So don't be frustrated, don't have disappointment, just do the best that you can. Rishabh Gautam is asking, I have completed my BTech this year and not working. What to do after CAT? Should I do a job? Rishabh, that's a very, very different question for a different forum. However, typically it helps if you are doing something meaningful with your time. If I am somebody who is sitting on the other side of the interview panel, I would prefer talking to someone who is doing something constructive in his or her life, whether it is studying, whether it is working for an NGO, whether it is working in a company, whether it is doing something that is adding some value to yourself and the world around you. So yeah, keep that in mind. Exam hall में क्या क्या लेके जाना है? I am really the wrong person to answer this particular question, but all the previous webinars over the last few days answered this question. There's a lot of content on Inside IIM that you can read for the day. What is to be done? I'm sure those articles can be shared here as well as it might be available elsewhere. What is that biggest failure to have come ahead of? Please share. I don't know exactly what you mean by this question. Hi Mohit, I think at this point of time there is not much that you can do with respect to your VA preparation. All you can do at this point of time is I guess that you know that RC, for example, is going to be a significant part of your section, and it has a lot of weightage, and maybe you try and maximize your score there as much as possible, because a lot of the verbal ability is not something that you can fix in 2 days. So yeah. What's the best strategy to maintain the energy throughout the exam, even after LR and DI? I think this is wrong, Srimantula, that you are already decided that LR and DI is going to be tough. I think that itself seems like I'm not sure that's the right approach. I wouldn't assume that. You never know. Maybe DI and LR might be the easiest section that will come in yours. And people who set the CAT exam have been known to throw all kinds of surprises. Like for example, when I was writing the CAT in 2008, the 2 previous years there used to be 25, 25, 25 questions in all 3 sections, and suddenly when we got the paper, and it's the paper pencil CAT, we suddenly saw 25, 25, and 40 questions in VA and RC. So all kinds of things are possible. I don't think you should do that. How to maintain the energy? I've already spoken about this. The fact is that LR and DI, if you are finding it tough, a lot of other people are also going to find it tough. And at that point of time, to get your morale down and to underperform in other sections will rob you of the opportunity to get calls from really, really good institutes. And I don't think you should do that. So please keep that in mind, always. Okay, Umang says that there are certain important, difficult words when you are doing VARC. Just ignore them, Umang, because you cannot improve your vocabulary overnight. So a vocabulary library builds over time after extensive amount of reading. It's not something that you can do suddenly. So I would honestly, try and understand a particular thing via the rest of the sentence or paragraph in context. But honestly, if there are difficult words, there are difficult words. You really can't do much. Selvin is asking, what is my life story after MBA? Okay, Selvin, so I went to IIM Indore. I got calls from IIM Lucknow, IIM Indore, and IIM Kozhikode after my CAT. And you would be interested to know that all 3 of them initially rejected me. I was on the wait list of all the institutes. Indore and Kozhikode, I think, were the only ones that I converted, and Indore was where eventually I went. Then when I was on campus, there is an entire video about what I did on campus on the Inside IIM channel that you can have a look at. I think the video's title is The Arrogant Fool at IIM or something. It might be interesting for you. Then I went to Bank of America Merrill Lynch from campus. I got a job there. So I worked in Mumbai and New York for a brief period of time. And while I was doing it, I started InsideIM.com as a hobby, and that ended up, eventually turning into a business that I do full time now. And I really enjoy what I do at this point of time. So that's essentially my life story. Now, within the last 6 years that I've been doing this particular piece, there are lots of ups and downs, but that's something which I will share at some other point, or you can have a look at some of my other videos on the channel, which might, if you are interested in knowing that. So I just think you should. That's the only life story that I have. Hopefully, my life story is still going to continue, and there's a lot more to be done. But if you want to know my thoughts, etc., there are lots of articles that I have written on Inside IIM, which you might want to have a look at, and maybe you will know more about how I have navigated a few things in my life. Aditya Pal, and I think this is going to be the final question I'm going to take for the day. Good evening, sir. I have 4 years of experience in government bank. Should I go for 1 year MBA or any other exams to enhance my profile? You should. I mean, again, it depends on every individual's personal, profile and how you are scoring and what your chances are in various exams, etc. But I think anybody who's taking CAT seriously should definitely take ZAT seriously. I think ZAT is also accepted by a lot of institutes, and I think should definitely do that. The way I think institutes like NMIMS and Symbiosis have grown over the last few years, I would say that I don't know whether you have the opportunity to apply to those exams anymore now, but those are also exams that are definitely ones that you can take. IIFT is another great institute that you should try for. The thing is that you can take the exams, apply, and see if you are getting admission. Whether you actually end up accepting the admission offer that you get is a call that you can take in April and May next year, right? So at this point of time, you shouldn't worry about which exams you are applying for. I generally feel that if you are doing well, you typically there is not a lot of upside in taking an exam like CMAT, for example. So I mean, if you are in Maharashtra and JBIMS is a goal, then CET is an exam that you should definitely look at. If you are looking at going abroad, then obviously you have no option but to take GMAT. If you want to go to ISB, you have no option but to take GRE or GMAT. So I think that's broadly all that there is. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time. We've spent the last 1 hour listening to me. I am a compulsive talker and I say all kinds of things. But I hope that this session was of some use to you, and I hope that you guys do really, really well. Just take all the positivity with you. Know that there are people in the world who really love you, and those are the things that matter more as compared to just one bloody exam, which is something that you may do well at and might get ahead in life. It does not define you. CAT crack करने के बाद भी it's not like you are going to be the richest man in the world or the happiest man in the world for sure. Or अगर if you are not able to do well at it, also it doesn't mean that you are going to be the poorest man in the world or the saddest person in the world either. So have some kind of equanimity, have some kind of perspective about everything. There is a lot to do in life. You might be a great dancer, you might be a great painter, you might be a great manager who will rise up the ranks without ever having going to a B school, or you might be somebody who will start a company and probably hire every single IIM grad that exists outside, or you might just end up being a traveler, or I don't know. I mean, there are just hundreds and hundreds of things to live a happy, rich, prosperous life. CAT is one route out of that, and that also does not guarantee anything in life. So do well. Just go with all kinds of positive energy. I'm sure all 80, 100 people that have been watching this today are going to do well. The fact that you are here already puts you, apart from a lot of people out there. So yeah, you're just going to be doing amazingly well. I'm very, very confident. You need to be confident now. Be positive. Make sure if you believe in praying, then go ahead and pray. If you do not believe in praying, still count your blessings. Just be grateful about all that you have in your life and attempt the exam with an arrogance. Know that you're going to do well and know that you're going to be brilliant at it. So thank you so much, guys, for being with me. Hopefully we will see you soon on Inside IIM. We also have a very, very good course that helps you crack your exams if you do well in it. So we worked with someone like Dipali Nair, who's excellent at it, and she's helped a few hundred people get into the IIM. So maybe that's something you want to check out whenever, after your exam is over. But at this point of time, all I can do is wish you guys luck. So yeah, do well, guys. You guys will be the bright future of India, irrespective of whether you do well at CAT or not. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.